Hi. Today I want to talk about a problem solving method that I read about once that I really haven't seen posted about or talked about much elsewhere online, and that's cause effect diagrams. So, to first start, let's go through what typically the process people go through when they're doing root cause analysis. And the one that's most famous that I see everybody flock to is this idea of the 5 whys exercise, where the exercise will start with identifying a problem that then you simply ask the question, why did this problem occur? And this gets repeated 5 times. And through each question, you get to a new layer of understanding where the problem was coming from and identifying at the end of this process maybe the key root cause. And the idea is if you're able to fix this problem, well, then you have your solution. Job well done. But there's a couple problems with this method that people aren't really easily sort of adapted to. One is there's only one path. There is never a consideration that there may be multiple root cause sort of lines of reasoning that are worth investigating. Second, the last why is typically the one that's focused on in terms of a solution. But that means people also skip over the first 4. And so there's no reason why you can't also action one of these first whys on top as well as the last one. The last piece is that this sort of thinking leads people to believe that if they only focus on a single why, that they're going to solve the problem. But normally it requires addressing, multiple different causes to be able to address issues in a complex adaptive system. So those are some of the reasons why I like people when they're talking about root cause analysis, but I don't like to limit it to just the 5 whys exercise. So instead, what I try to tell them about is this other idea of the cause effect diagrams. And the process for solving these looks something like this, where you start off with a issue or a problem. Say it's a delayed release in a software team. So here's the issue we're facing. And as we sort of track up, we're identifying the impact that this problem has. So it could lead to it's going to pull in more people to fix, which then slows other work. And then this becomes the real one of the other issues, which is delayed income, delayed revenue. And so we can see with this arrow, the track and the path upwards. We could also look down to identify the different routes. And so here's one of the key differences is embracing the fact that there's probably going to be multiple reasons. So if we look at why did we have a delayed release? Well, sometimes it could be the delay in our environments. It could be slow testing. It could be slow testing could be related to manual testing. Maybe there was a bottleneck of skills, so specialists. And lastly, it could be something related to too much scope. So the cause and effect diagram lets us have a much richer picture about where some of these issues are coming from. And as we do this sort of exercise as a group, we can then identify, well, maybe it's this one over here, that's the root cause that we can try to do something about. This exercise always addresses, these root causes, not as necessarily the things that you fix and they're going to solve the problem, but in terms of a hypothesis, you'll create an experiment and try to move the needle on solving your issue based off attacking one of these root causes. And then eventually you'll move on to maybe identifying that you need to move through and address other ones as time comes. One of the other methods to diagramming these sorts of relationships that is very popular is a causal loop diagram. And it's useful and it has roots in the system thinking world, but there's two real reasons why I try to avoid introducing it when I'm doing problem solving with teams or root cause analysis with teams. One is that the causal loop diagrams, show and contain more complex relationships. And then for people who have done these before, these are the ideas of the reinforcing or the balancing loops. In system thinking, there's this concept I won't get into now, but the causal loop diagrams illustrate what kind of relationship is a reinforcing loop or a balancing loop. It is helpful and it's useful, but for most people, it's too complicated. Along the same lines, this idea of stocks and flows is another idea from systems thinking that normal people may not be used to. So in order to avoid this situation where I need to first train people on these different concepts, I simply use language that they're very used to highlight the issue that's on their mind. And that starts off with, what is the reason we're here today? What's the thing we're trying to discuss? And what is maybe the delayed release? We also first start off by tracking this upwards to see what's the impact of this problem. And just like the root causes, there could be multiple traces going up and then multiple traces going down. Oops. And as we explore all of these different connections, there might be connections between them. We might end up with a bit of a spider graph where these things start to branch. And we're going to have a much richer discussion around what are the things we can do to fix the issues we're facing. Thanks. I hope that was helpful. Have a good day.